I'm going to start off by comparing Zero Dark Thirty to John Carter of Mars. Not because these films are very similar, they're completely different, but because John Carter was based on a book that was written 100 years ago, and the film is described as 100 years in the making. Which doesn't really make sense, because in 1912 people weren't really thinking, you know what, let's shoot a film entirely on Mars. But that being said, it was a film that had to live up to expectations, and it didn't at all. It was dreadful. But Zero Dark Thirty also has to live up to expectations, and I think if Zero Dark 30 had been bad, it would have caused problems. I think it would have been seen as offensive, and I think to some people, despite the fact that I believe it's a great film, still feel as though the film itself is offensive. And as a British person, I don't really see that, but I can understand how other people would. So I accept that viewpoint. But um, ultimately, I loved the film. I thought it was one of the best Oscar pictures this year. And I think that Jessica Chastain is absolutely wonderful in it as the lead character Maya, this driven career CIA analyst who is front and center in the manhunt for Bin Laden. And it's an odd film because you're following this one person's career over this 10-year period, and using real life events. You're looking at this really specific and really personal issue in American people's lives, and it's handled very delicately. But it's also a thriller. The film is a thriller. It's something that's very lively, very fast-paced, but it's also a film you've got to stay very alert for, because it's very complicated, because it uses real-life politics and real-life events, and it's very complex, and the dialogue's complex, and everything about it is very complex. The direction is excellent, and the way that this film's portrayed is excellent. It's got some great actors in it. But one of the best things about it is the fact that it manages to incorporate themes and political feelings of people in America through character. For instance, Jason Clarke plays a torturer who befriends Maya, um, but over the period of the film, he starts to grow weary of what he's doing. Um, and I think, in a way, it sort of emulates the feelings of the American populace. Like in the early days, the idea of torture to find information seemed more palatable because of the atrocities that happened, of the event of 9/11. But as time went on, it seemed much more aggressive and much more inhumane. And I think one of the things that this character shows is that over time these opinions can change. And the film does also show that the fact that during this manhunt there are two different administrations. Things change, and Maya refuses to notice these things changing because she's so fixated on the manhunt she's involved in. And I think it's a great film for using these real characters to display not only political themes, but also using these characters to show that uh, this entire story is so personal to a lot of lives, and it's a film that it's very clever in that regard. The one problem I did have with it is that there's a couple of characters played by Carl Chandler and Jennifer Ellie who are very uh, cliched, in that Jennifer Ellie plays a very naive uh, CIA analyst like Maya, but one who doesn't really understand the landscape she's working in. And she's a tad cliched because um, she ends up being the person who doesn't belong, the person who's, I don't want to call her an idiot, but she's the person who really doesn't deserve to be in the position she's in. She's not of the right mindset for the job that she's doing, and it's something that's highlighted about halfway through the film. Um, in fact, it's a shame because uh, the actress tries to make every uh, the character very accessible, but the writing for her isn't that good. But with other characters, such as Maya and Jason Clarke's character, the writing's excellent, and it's just a shame that it didn't. That her character suffered along the way. That she didn't really feel like a fully fleshed out character. She felt more like a plot device at times. But as a complaint for a film, it's very minor because everything else about it's so well done. The final half an hour is the actual raid on the compound where Bin Laden is being held, and that is some of the best direct action I've seen in a while because it's so very detailed. It feels almost like a documentary, but it's not. Like you you have this sense that it's real, but you know deep down that it's not. So you're sort of combating this while you're watching it. So it affects you in a different way than you were expecting. This moment when they find him, this moment that's supposed to be so revelatory and wondrous is actually quite contemplative and shocking. It's a film that sort of flips on its head the emotions you should be feeling at certain points. Moments when you should be feeling anger, you're actually kind of thrilled, and it's a very unique film, and I think because of that, it's the right choice for an Oscar nomination because it is absolutely excellent, and that's why I'll give it the first 10 out of 10 of the year.